Wait! Before I get onto the gameplay, I have to explain what we're doing here. The devs finally released a new subrealm, the Silent Abyss, and I use this as an opportunity to turn it into the ultimate challenge. I wanted to see if I could beat this area in just one day, meaning I would have to learn and beat 13 towers / steeples before midnight. Some towers here can take me hours, while some I can just beat in a few minutes. Also, I had no prior experience with these towers before the release, no practicing, no video viewing, I knew nothing. Zip, zilch, nada. So I'm going in blind. Some of you may be wondering, Zelkron, why would you do this? This is such a dumb idea. And to that I say, you're right, this is a dumb idea. Anyways, enough blabbering, let's check this place out. So first, to access this subrealm, I needed to find 3 pieces of a submarine ship. Bada bing, bada boom. After that, I headed over on that submersible, and here we access the Silent Abyss. First thing I've noticed is that the Silent Abyss isn't really silent at all. Anyways, let's get on with Tower 1. There's no time to waste. Steeple of Wicked Grotto. Now, I know it's a steeple and not a tower, but to avoid any extra words, I'll refer to every single obby in this subrealm as a tower. Cause I mean, it's Juke's Towers of Hell, right? I had to go during the day, so I went on JTO this morning with the intentions of just looking around this steeple. But to my surprise, this tower was so easy. It's the easiest intense in the game according to the difficulty chart. If you want to do your first intense, heads up, this steeple's for you. This tower was weird, but in a good way. It felt very open, but at the same time, it also felt cramped. And part of this tower felt like a joke. I mean, we're literally entering Lil Baby's realm. Towers that don't take themselves too seriously are pretty awesome. And in the tower, there were some Minecraft references, like the ores you pick up. It seems like a reference to the Tower of Unsettling Heights, which honestly I really like. So yeah, this tower is pretty awesome. Go play it. Up next is Steeple Malignant Blight. My day trip took a while, so it's already 109. Now, people like to call this the hard version of another steeple that's located in another subrealm, Garden of Isho, which is funny because I haven't beaten any tower anyways, this tower is one of my favorites. Straight off the bat, Dusk Pyramid is a goated creator, and this tower really shows his skills off. The gameplay is short, sweet, and skillful. Literally the triple S. And it kind of reminds me of a fallen version of Tower of Never-Ending Dizziness, where the tower is just destroyed and forgotten about and left in the Silent Abyss, which adds immersion. Now, for my experience, I spent about an hour on this, and I failed one jump a couple of times, so I decided to use event items in actual JTO to practice that jump a little more. Obviously, event items are so inconsistent, so time may have been wasted. But I eventually came up with an okay strat and ended up beating this tower, therefore eliminating the hardest tower in the subrealm. However, that doesn't mean it gets much easier. Next, we have none other than Steeple of Midnight Acropolis. I, once again, hop straight into practice for this one. Why? Because this gameplay isn't bad, but it's learning. Now, learning gameplay is good. It's super satisfying to pull off once you memorize the little quirks. The steeple reminded me of a Christmas event from Another's Towers of Stupidity. It was some Christmas event. I literally can't pronounce the name, so I'll just put it on screen. It was pretty much a castle you had to cross through. And once you start, the steeple is pretty forgiving. So lets you ease in, gives you time to learn, at least just for the beginning, as it starts to get painful near the end. So after traversing for some while, you get sent to this section. It's netted, but if the clock hits 7, you will quote unquote meet your end. And you'd expect it to just take away your net. I mean, the other tower does it, but no, it just insta-kills you. To top things off, this section has a box puzzle. Really? I have to do a puzzle while being worried if I'll die or not? So practice that, and finally we have the final chase. It's a very easy obby against an alien, but you cannot fall, nor can you be too slow, otherwise, you guessed it, death. This alien is nice though. He's kind of slow, so don't worry about literally speedrunning this section. But after you're done, GG. You kill this alien and ruin his multi-million-dollar mansion in the process. Congrats! Tower of Tenebrous Depths. No, I do not use practice for any of these towers coming up next. Now, this tower is a great first remorseless. This tower starts off mellow and slow, then picks up the pace. You start up this tower doing a little research experiment. You gather information as you scale the tower, and as you're almost done, Hesden, this realm's guardian, realizes that you've taken too much information. And then there's a final boss fight. This tower was awesome, honestly. Thankfully, it wasn't learning at all. And it was really forgiving, especially for a remorseless. Truly a great tower. The design, the gameplay, even the soundtrack is pristine. The final boss fight also isn't anything too serious and is much easier than the rest of the tower. So I destroy his sentry and evacuate as I have gathered all the information. Then I leave by plane. This tower was amazing. It pumps you up with energy and is perfectly sight readable. I literally cannot put into words how good this tower is. The colors are so great too. Seriously, just go play this tower, even if you haven't been the REM yet. And off topic, but I literally got glitched. My screen was black infinitely, but luckily the game still gave me a badge. Phew. Now that's all the remorselesses done. I felt slightly tired after doing all the remorselesses. Usually I just do one at a time, one in a day. But now I've done 3 remorselesses in one day, and I've got a lot to go. But it's time to clear up the intenses. Steeple of Involuntary Isolation. I promise you the name has nothing to do with the steeple. So I believe this steeple takes place in an abandoned mining facility, and I assume it was abandoned because of health concerns. This place is super dangerous, especially considering it's literally buried deep in the ocean. But one thing I like about this tower, and it's kind of a small thing, but the trusses and their gradient. It's just a really small, neat design choice that I really like. This soundtrack is also pretty good. It's one of my favorites in the zone. And the gameplay is pretty modern, so you might struggle with this steeple if you don't like slanted wraps, or if you just adore classic gameplay, you might not like this steeple. But the steeple seems a lot shorter than it actually is. Maybe it's because it doesn't give that many safety nets. But regardless, I really love the steeple. Great example of modern gameplay being used in a really fun way. Alright, time for Tower of Shallow Waters. The thing is, it rains all the time in this tower. I doubt the waters are even close to shallow. But anyways, this tower really gave me a hard time. And it's not because of the gameplay, it's just that I had trouble understanding a gimmick. Basically, light shines on a platform and it determines whether it is solid. If the light gets off where you're standing in, you just fall. I fell on an outside because of this gimmick. I didn't know that I could just walk instead of jumping to try to avoid falling. And in turn, this made me lose like a 20-minute run. Aside from that, the music in this tower is beautiful, but it makes the tower seem longer than it has to be. Why? Because this tower pretty much has the same soundtrack playing over and over again. You just hear and I would have really liked some variety. But that's because this tower is inspired by Hollow Knight, and I've personally never played it. So while it sounds repetitive for me, it might bring nice memories for some. And it ends off with a boss fight. Is this what, the 3rd boss fight of this video? Luckily it is super easy, like mega fun obby easy. Overall, this tower was cool, the design is absolutely beautiful, and the gameplay was tricky. Oh, and also you can choose to seal the boss or let him live at the end. I chose to seal him because I was standing on the button before it even spawned in. Poor dude didn't even have a chance. So far, not a single bad tower. This subrealm is great, although I'm starting to feel the effects of this big grind.
Hello, Blair. Yeah, I got some pretty bad news. Yeah, there's no tower. You may as well just like leave.
Sorry guys, that was really awkward. I almost thought there wasn't a tower. Now, this quote-unquote non-tower is a play on another game that I've played on cool math games, named There Is No Game. There Is No Game is basically a puzzle game that was really ahead of its time. In the original game, you would make the narrator as mad as possible by messing with his game. This tower is a little different. It has a story, but unfortunately, I won't spoil this tower story, as I think this tower deserves its own playthrough for a full experience. I will note though, that in the end you can choose between two endings. Falling into this pit won't kill you despite how it looks, it's just part of another ending. Aside from that, I love its creativity, as this tower is the only tower to have a built-in voice commentary. Just know, this tower took me about an hour, and I love it. You start off in this cabin, and as anybody would do when they see a random cabin, they must break in and fall through the huge gap. Steeple of Zelkron Abyss. This tower is awesome. I do think it's a bit too high in the difficulty chart, but that's just a nitpick. Anyways, this tower revolves its gameplay around light. Some sections can be completely dark. Some sections involve manipulating light just so you can see the platforms as well. Such a shame. Why, you ask? Because I got a Christmas tree. Unfortunately, the tower creator did not account for Christmas, so I lit up the place like it's the 4th of July. I mean Christmas, oops. Therefore, this caused the tower to become a joke. Now do you get why I think this is a little too high in the difficulty chart? Steeple of Guiding Lights. Alright, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big fan of this steeple. It's not bad at all, but nothing really stood out to me. It has cool mechanics, but it felt maybe a little too classic, and I kinda don't like that black hole in the middle. Personally, I think it'd be better without it. Also, the end has a lantern with a 120-second timer. Spend a little too long and you're in complete darkness. Cool story, but wanna see a cool trick? Boom. Now the lantern has an infinite timer. Just like that, the steeple is done! Steeple of Descendants. Have you ever played the Roblox game minus Descendants? Well, I haven't, but that's not stopping me from enjoying this absolute banger. Guys, this might be my favorite tower in JToH. I kid you not, this is awesome. The monochrome black and white design was awesome. And yes, I'm using that twice, I don't care. This tower's design reminds me of a game I used to speedrun, Entry Point. By the way, Entry Point is literally the best game on Roblox for me. No wonder I really like this design. Design aside, of course, the mechanics were awesome. There was little to no punishment, so you can take as much time as you like. Whoa, I love this lighting and the cool effects it gives off on this part. So after you've got the majority of the keycards, you get sent to this section. The core deactivates after you press this button, and now you have 135 seconds to absolutely book it. After you've escaped, it's over now. Welcome to the outside of the facility. Wait, what is this song? Oh my gosh. So this song is from an old Roblox game called Azure Mines. Unfortunately, no one plays it anymore, but this game pretty much got me into Roblox back in 2017. But now that's 7 years ago, oh my gosh. Anyways, the nostalgia flooded through my veins, even if it was just for a brief period of 20 seconds. And I beat this tower. Truly amazing. This is my favorite tower in JToH. Nostalgia probably carried it, but who cares? Now, Tower of Ancestral Interference. So, going into this tower, it looked like the tower creator poured everything into this tower. I mean, there was a cool warp section and a huge room. This does not feel like JToH, as it is decorated like crazy. Feels like an entirely different game. So, after popping into this big room, I did the challenges and got 3 key cards. I placed the key cards in, and I wasn't paying attention when I saw the walls cave in on me, and they were insta-kills, and I died. Now, unfortunately, guys, I could not play this tower anymore until I listened to Nick at 30. Never back down, never give up. Nah, who am I kidding? I've played JToH for 7 hours straight at this point, so this marks the end. Today, I've beaten the hardest 10 in the subrealm without doing any practice before today. And frankly, I'm really proud of what I've accomplished. So if you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like and subscribe, as it really helped me out. Peace.